So for my raised beds, I wanted to do a lot of vertical growing. This way, I'm using my space efficiently, and it's going to make pruning and harvesting a little bit easier. So you can see here, these are tomatoes in 2 rows at the center of my raised bed, which I attached this wooden trellis system that has these hanging garden twine and tomato clips. This provides the support for these and allows for that kind of vertical approach. I already had that one built, and I had these 2 remaining beds that I want to do a similar trellis system on. While I do have some tomatoes growing in here as well, there are mostly cucumbers, zucchini, and eggplant that I'm hoping to also grow vertically. In terms of material, I'm more comfortable with using wood. This is what I can work with in terms of tools, and it's more readily available for me. Lumber is expensive, so I did cut some corners and use 2x3s for these remaining raised beds. However, I did have some leftover 2x4 that I wanted to use. Nice thing about this scrap piece is that it was 4 feet long, which means I could divide it into 1-foot segments. That'll provide the cross beams at the appropriate width for these. These dimensions are not set in stone, and you should do this based on what you have available and what your current raised bed dimensions are. Something that is nice is having a miter saw. It makes for really efficient cuts and an easy way to kind of match your current pieces. And all I did was very little measuring, but actually just laying these out on a flat surface, marking on our pieces of wood where I wanted to make cuts, and then using a cut piece to kind of copy and paste, so to speak, by marking that on the remaining wood and then just duplicating that with an additional cut. This makes for a really efficient workflow, especially when I don't really need to get bogged down in precision and cutting. I'm just trying to put things together in an efficient way. So these pieces you'll see support the top piece of the T, which you can just kind of lay out and eyeball. It's important to notice that it leaves space for a little shelf that the cross beams, the long pieces, will be resting on. As for hardware, it's always good to use exterior grade screws and make sure that the length will exceed the depth of the pieces you're going through. Be sure to pre-drill your holes as well. And here's the finished products. As you can see, I added an extra pair of screws on each of those bottom pieces just to add for stability. It was a little wobbly. When attaching these to the raised bed, I just did a quick dig out of some of the mulch so that it's nice and flush with the wall here. And then went ahead and placed a clamp just so that it's in place. And then again, pre-drilling our holes. I only needed 2 on each of these, although you could do more or even add some additional support if you were worried about wind or stability. Repeating this on the other side, directly across. We got ready to add our cross beams. I did lose some footage for this, but you'll see here that basically the 8-foot 2x3s match the length of my raised beds, and I was just able to kind of set those on top and provide a screw in each side. As for the twine, kind of an easy shortcut since we'll be cutting a lot of these lengths. I just stuck a stick in the ground and then used this to measure out 8 feet and then some extra change for tying. The nice thing about this is you can space it as needed, and then even if these start to bush out, I'll be able to add another string from the top to support these. Say I missed a sucker or such on my tomato. Tying these down as tight as I can, even looped it over itself so it doesn't slide back and forth. Although I don't think that's going to be an issue. Then just draping down these strings to meet our plant that we're going to trellis, and using these garden staples to loosely anchor this at an area near the base of the plant. So here I'm just measuring how long I need it to be and creating a quick loop that I will then feed the garden staple to, and then gently place at a 45-degree angle without damaging the root system too much. And these tomato clips are really cheap, easy to find on Amazon, and you'll see there in the elbow of it, it'll actually grab the string so that it doesn't slide up and down, which secures it to the string, and then it just loosely and gently wraps around the plant. And there we are. And so as the plant grows and we're pruning it and we're trying to keep this vertical growth going, we'll be able to add more tomato clips and support as we go along. So less than a month has gone by, and here's an update of how things are looking. On our first trellis raised bed, the tomatoes are doing pretty well, especially a lot of these bigger starters that I had. And as you can see here, I've been pruning suckers, so we just have this one main stem continuing to trellis upwards. And then over on our new bed, this big beef on the right has absolutely exploded. I don't know if I missed a sucker or something, but it's had a new main stem here. You can see on the left that I put a separate string to support because it's already fruiting and these are getting really heavy. However, this method is holding up quite well to all that added weight, so I'm pretty happy with that. And then the cucurbits are doing fine, especially these slicing cucumbers over here have been really easy to trellis. You can see here, as it's continuing to grow from that main stem, I'll be able to support that vertically, keep it off the ground, try to keep it dry, even though we've been having really heavy rains here lately. But really happy, and I hope this has been helpful to give you an idea or inspiration on how to outfit your own raised beds for vertical gardening.